Hey everyone, this is Daniel. In today's video, we're going to talk about Power Apps AI-powered Express Design, which is currently in preview. Now, this was announced about 2.5 weeks ago during Microsoft Build, and it really caught my attention. So I'm going to walk you through 3 different scenarios of how this can make your form building process so much more easier. So stick around, this is really important. But first, here's my intro video. So this is the AI-powered Express Design that I'm talking about. As you can see, Ryan Cunningham went ahead and posted this blog, and this was made available right during Microsoft Build. And that is the preview that I'm going to show you right now. So the 3 demos that I'm going to talk about, the first one is actually to show a hand-designed form. And this is the one that I built. And as you can see, I didn't do a very good job, but the AI is smart enough to even recognize this. Sure, we have to tweak a little bit of it, but this is a good place to start. The second scenario is me in a company inheriting this legacy form where I don't even have the electronic copy of it anymore, but how am I able to use this AI-powered Express Design to help make the form come into reality from an electronic version? And then finally, there's a template which is also available, and I want to use that sample because it has icons in it, and how AI is able to even recognize those icons. So all of these 3 scenarios are important, and we'll go through them. So let's get started. So all 3 of my scenarios start over here in the home page of Power Apps. And when I come over here, you should start to see this image preview option over there. Now, prior to me doing this, I actually took this form, I built it with my hand, and all I did was take a picture of it with my iPhone, with my smartphone device. And then I send that picture to myself as an email attachment, or you can upload it to your OneDrive. However, because we want the electronic copy of it, the key thing is that all my thoughts were put down on the paper as a design using something as simple as this. And this was actually the starting point. So I come over here now to my image preview. I click on the image preview, and it tells me a few very important things that we need to be aware of. And it's actually pretty helpful. It's telling me that, hey, this is the type of form with a light background color that you want to use. Anything which just has a colored background, in this case, it's got this blue, can cause AI to act a little bit flaky. So stick with the nice color background over there. This also got some importance over here. It's like use a clear, legible form, which makes the form a little easier to understand. This sometimes get a little bit difficult. And I actually have this demo of mine. This one, I said, remember the legacy one? It is a little bit complex. And I'll show you how that also gets affected and a little extra work that you need to go and fix that. And then finally, the last piece over here is that use one-page forms. Multiple ones currently do not work. So as you are going through this little preview, and before you go and click on this next button, take a quick look at this because it's giving you some careful and important insights that you need to be aware of. So now I click on next, and the first thing I want to do is the demo. So I'm going to actually go and say my live demo 1. And here I want to actually go ahead and upload my own. In the last demo, we'll actually use this option as well. So now I just come and click over here, and it goes ahead and opens up my open prompt over here. So now I'll click on this one because as you can see, that's the one that I'm going to select. I click on open, and then afterwards, by default, it goes and puts it as phone recommended. That's the format. This is the default one. I'm going to leave it at that right now because that's what I'm intending to make. However, you can go ahead and opt into the tablet as well. Next, I'll go and click on next. And now AI is actually going ahead and assessing the form that we uploaded. It's actually saying identifying components for your app. And the moment it did that, I mean, it was fast. It went through that fast. So let's spend a few minutes and see what is it that it did over here. So first things is, let's take a quick look around what are the features available. As you can see, the form is over here. It has gone ahead and done some highlighting, and then it gives you the flexibility to zoom in, zoom out. It automatically goes and fixes it to the width, and then you can go ahead and fit it back to the same height. So those are all some neat tools available. But let's see what it did. So the first thing is it automatically did as much tagging as it could do from an AI standpoint. And it tells you what it is. It's like, hey, these are the 2 type of tags that it has done. It did the label one, which is actually is given this orangish type of a color. And so the moment I select on it, it highlights all of the ones over here. So anything which should be a label, it went ahead and did that as a label. Now, other things were the text one. Anything which should be a text, it went and put that as a text input, and it gave that as the green color. So let's see this form. Okay, what is it that it was able to do successfully, and what did it miss? Well, if you think about it, the problem was not with the AI, not with Power Apps. It was with me, the end user. And as you notice, I have actually been writing this in a little bit of an angle, and that's just been my style of handwriting, especially when I started doing cursive handwriting way back in the day. I used to actually angle my lines a little bit in a slant. So as you see that my drawing also became that way. It's not a perfect horizontal line. It's got a little bit of angle to it. And that angle immediately showed up over here too. You see, like right over here, there's an angle. Right over there, there's an angle. Well, AI did its best to go ahead and recognize which one of this is the text input. And then after that, you can go and fix it. So let's do that, right? So I'm going to actually go ahead and make this nice and wide. And I can see, okay, this is great. All the labels actually came pretty good. See, it picked up everything, full name, city, state, how many comments, all of it did. And it was even pretty good job to go ahead and even pick up. See, this has got a bit of an angle, a slant over there. Picked that up as a text, went and picked this up. It did miss this section, and for main reasons, because you see when it went and did this text one, it kind of overlapped. So I'll still give AI major kudos over here, because it actually was able to even take, bad handwriting like mine and able to go ahead and predict such a good job over here. Well, we can fill in the rest, all right? So for the city piece over here, I simply come in and I draw the line out. I just draw it out, and then the moment it comes in, it asks me, hey, you did draw something. What is it that you want? So I went and said that, hey, I drew a box and this is going to be my text input. And there you go. It went and immediately marked it. Next thing is I'm going to do the same thing for the state as well, because it kind of missed the state. So I'll come in and I'll go ahead and draw my state. So I'm making a drawing. Now I'm going to say that, hey, this is a text input. And it went ahead and highlighted that as well. And we'll finally even do that for the comment section. So I come in, I'll go ahead and do the entire highlighting, picked it up, perfect. I'll go ahead and say, yep, that's a text input. And we are actually done. Now keep in mind that this would also be a good job for me to go and actually select something. And if I want to go and change it, this is how I can go and assign it over there, because it's giving me some other options, right? So something to be, keep in mind of. Next, I'll come in over here and I've got two options. It is that, okay, you've gone ahead and selected the form, you went and draw the form, you've got the front end form ready. Now let's focus your attention on the data source. So over here, immediately it says, hey, you can create a new table in Dataverse right off the bat. This is what I'm going to do for this example right now. So I'm going to select that option, which is by default selected, and I'll go and click on next. And as I click on next, it's actually now going ahead and saying, okay, these are all the forms that you selected. Just make sure that everything is there. These are the columns that have been already applied for you. And I can now go and see that these are all the tagged ones that I have. Again, I can zoom in, zoom out. Again, now it's kind of almost showing you a preview of what the finished product is going to look like before you go into the Canvas App Studio. I like everything that I see, so I'm just going to go and click on next. Once again, it is verifying that, okay, this is the columns that you selected. These are going to be the column names. Now, if you are a first-time Dataverse type of user, don't be alarmed by these names. This is very similar to sometimes what you see on SQL side, because what happens is these prefixes is going ahead and making your column types very unique for your Dataverse. So it automatically applies these prefixes for you. Then everything else, these are the names that you selected, they all show up here, data types all over here. This is the one thing that happens automatically, and that is for your own kind of protection, that you don't go ahead and have any problems of duplicates or things like that. It does this automatically from you. Now I just click on create, and it's automatically going ahead and creating your app. Now since this is the first time and it's all happening in preview, it might take a few extra seconds longer over here, but it is going ahead and doing so much. It went ahead and took all your controls that you had, and now it's going and actually putting that directly into your Power Apps Canvas app. So we are successfully in the Canvas App Studio over here, which is the Power Apps Canvas app. And as you can see, a lot is already built and ready for us. First of all is we've got this label. This label is the name on the top, which is form. And as you can see on the side, that was the actual label that I had in my hand-drawn form over there as well. And then everything else has come along. Now, since we went ahead and selected Dataverse as the data source, it went ahead and actually made that connection over here as well. And that connection was used for our edit form. See, it went and automatically took that edit form over here, and it has even gone ahead and added all of these fields automatically for us. This is big. I mean, it went ahead and saved us so many steps that now all I have to do is focus on basically, okay, let me just add a submit button and let me make my form look a little nicer. So this is where you can go and apply some of your branding style. So if you've seen some of my other videos, I have that header, I have the footer, I've got all of that jazz over here. That is something that I can put in over here. because it gives you that flexibility. It's done basically all the plumbing work for you, all the connections, all the controls. You now have the flexibility to add your own design to it. So for me, as a quick example, all I need to do is now come over here to my insert. I'll click on submit. And when I click on submit, I get my button over here. And there is where I actually go and do my submit form. I actually add the submit. When I click on submit form, it automatically picks up the form and I go and do it as here and I'm done. After this also, I can add more design to it. Like after you hit the submit form, if it's on the on success in the form's on success, you can go ahead and navigate to another screen. So which means you can add another screen. You can add all those design pieces over there. Also, since this is an edit form, see the snap to columns by default was turned off. So I can actually do a little bit more designing over there. I can go ahead and take that label and I can go and move that down a little bit. I can do a bunch of stuff over here to make it a little bit easier for me. So this is the first scenario, the scenario where we were able to take this hand-drawn form and use Dataverse as a table. Now let's go take a look at the second scenario. So scenario number 2 is I'm going to go ahead and take this legacy form that I have. In fact, all I have it is as an image file, like a JPEG or a PNG. I don't even have the original PDF version. This is the one that we're going to go ahead and now import in using this AI Express design. So I'll come in over here now and I'll go ahead and say this is my live demo 2. And this time, again, I'm going to go ahead and upload it. I'm going to go grab that form and I'll go in. As you can see, it's a PNG file, by the way. Click on open. And over here, I'll select tablet. Now I'm going to go next. And then it's going to go ahead and identify all the components of my app. And as you can see, it did that fast over here. But there is some interesting things going on over here. Up front, when you look at it as a holistic thing, you say, hey, they did actually a pretty good job. But as we go close into it, you see that, okay, at the end of the day, this is still AI. AI is not perfect. That is where we have to add our human touch into this. So I'm going to go and zoom in a little bit and see, okay, what is it that we missed? So actually, I can go a little bit closer. First thing I see is that it picked up the label just fine. All right, that was perfect. I can go and get that. But over here, it says the report number for administrator uses only. Well, it picked all of this up as a full text, but it's really not giving me a label. So in this case now, I can actually go and do a little bit of tweaking. I can go and say that, okay, this is pretty good. So I'll go and leave that as my text one. But I also want this section over here, right? This piece, I want that as my label. So now I've gone and added that piece over here. Now let's go and take a look at the ones below. So as you can see, this is when I highlight, it says that, hey, this is tagged as a text label, which is perfect. However, we missed the text section. So I'm going to go and add that piece over here. Got it? I'll say this is the text one. Originator probably is a person. So I'll put that as a text input and we're good. In this case, it actually was the opposite. See, over here, it picked up the label. Over here, it went and picked up the text. So I'll go and now move that over here because that is the correct text one that I have. But I'm going to now go in and select this one as the label. And I got that one over here as well. See, something similar has happened over there. This is the date one. So I'll go and move that over here as the date. Hey, by the way, this is a date one. So let's go and make sure that it is the correct component. So I'll select the date picker kind. That's perfect. See, the moment I added the date picker, it went and put that information over here. And I also want this as a label. So I'll go and highlight that one. Yep, that is highlighted. Good. We'll go and put that as a label. And as you can see, now all of the other ones we have to do. So this is the problem title. I'm happy with what it looks like. So I'm going to go and move that over here as well. This is also what is good. Problem description. Again, it's all good. On this case, sometimes all we have to do is move things around a little bit because this was already selected as a text. I can tell that because it's green in color. This is text input, green in color. I can go and select this highlight because that is going to be the label. So there you go, text label. And then same thing over here. It selected the text really well, the text column. I just need to go and grab the input one. So I go and the label that is. So that's basically the fixing that I have to do off and on. It's doing a very good job. I would even estimate that this did 80% of it, which is perfect. All I got to do is fill in the blanks over here. And in this case, again, go ahead and add the date picker. So all in all, now you understand this scenario is that this was, I would admit, a fairly complex form, all right? And it was one of my legacy forms. So I had some work done over here, and now I need to go and click on next. In this example, we will intentionally not select the data source because I want to show you what happens in the Canvas app. So I'm going to actually skip this for now. I'll select that. I'm going to click on create. And now it's doing its magic again. It is going ahead and assessing all the design ideas that we gave it, you know, the new labels we added, the new controls we did. And then in that, it went ahead and put that directly inside our Power Apps Canvas App Studio. You're already familiar with this section that the Canvas App Studio has been opened up. It is loading the studio, you know, getting things ready. And then any section right here is where everything presents. So what is the difference we see over here as against what we just saw in the example of the demo number 1? You see, in demo number 1, if you recap, we just saw 2 different controls over here. That was the label, the top header, and then there was the edit form. The edit form was created intentionally because we had already selected the Dataverse as the data source. So the edit form was added over there. In this case, we didn't select any data source. So basically Power Apps is saying that, hey, I'm going to give you all the controls. You go and handle what data source you want. You go and handle how you're going to save it. So in scenarios like this would be a perfect one for whatever data source that you want. Is a SharePoint list, Excel sitting in your OneDrive, or a SharePoint document library, whatever you want to do that. And then you basically use the button and you use the patch command, a patch statement, and that will go ahead and do all of this jazz for you based on the data source that you have over there. You can even use the SQL for that. So you've got flexibility. And imagine how much time this has saved you, because now all of these controls, and there is quite a few controls. See, I'm actually scrolling down how many controls it went and got automatically from you. All you had to do was just basically go and select it when you were doing through the input process. And this is how the second scenario worked. Now let's go and take a look at the third one. So we're back over here in step number 1, which is where you go ahead and add the image. In this scenario, I'm actually going to say start with the sample image. I'm going to go over a little bit to the right, which is right here, one more step. And this is the one that I want to select. Why? Because it's got two things. Right over here, you see your overall experience with us. It's got the stars over there. And it's got this drop-down option, which is basically this the radio button control over there, the radio option. This is something you didn't see in any of my forms. Demos that I just showed you. This is the one that it actually is covered as an example. So what I've done is I've selected on that. You see that radio button over there, and I'm going to call this as my live demo 3. And now we will also leave this as a phone, and then we'll go to the next. Again, in the next, it's going to go ahead and now identify and assess everything you want. Granted, this was the sample form that they provide, so it will always be perfect, but that's fine. We want the example for this one was not how perfect it is. What all does it do? So let's go and now zoom in a little bit. And as you can see, it went and picked up a lot of things. It also went and identified this one. It is tagged as a rating. So it went and actually picked up the correct one. See, the rating one, that color matches. So when I go over here, it highlights the section over there. Same thing happened over here. It went and tagged this as a radio. So it went and selected over here. I've even seen the tagging count. These are all the tags. And it actually did a perfect section. Right over here too, I could have actually just initially seen this as just a rectangle text box, which is fine. Go ahead and just delete it or click on it and change it to whatever you want. It could have pretty much come as a text input, select it, and then you can go and put that as a drop down. That way you've got the entire thing ready. Also, in this one, there was already a button, right? There was already a button. So basically I select it, and once I select it, I will go ahead and tag this as a button. Because now I would even save me that extra step. Because remember when I showed you the first example, I actually added the button. Why? Because my form didn't have the button on it. This form does have a button. So when you're designing your own form, you can put it down to that detail. Like, hey, I know I want my button to be in this little corner. Draw it on your form, because when you come over here on the designing section over there, you can go ahead and add all the correct tags. And then finally, once you're done with all of this, and we just go ahead and look at it from outside, all of it looks great. I'll go to the next step, and this time I'll say, okay, let's just go and say I'm going to put it at the data source, select that as well. Once again, it is assessing all of those, it's showing you the tags, everything looks good, all my data types look good, display name looks good, click on next. Now it's telling me, hey, this is what your Dataverse table is going to look like. It is telling me this is your display name, these are actually your column names, these are the data types, giving you the third opportunity to do and verify, and then afterwards you go and click create. It goes and creating your app. There you go. It's going ahead and opening up the form. It's actually loading the Canvas App Studio, getting all of these things ready. Again, this is not new. You've seen this for years or years. But now when we come in, we see what we've already seen before. Is that, okay, it's got only a few controls. Why? Because a majority of these are all inside the Microsoft Forms. And then you've also got the top one, which was the labels, double labels over there. And we've also got the button. And guess what? Since we selected the Dataverse over there as a table source, we already went ahead and created the connector, which is the Dataverse. And then when we come back over here on the button, if I select the button in the on select, it already went and added the submit form function. I mean, this is AI at its best. It took that form and it went ahead and built the entire app, pretty much the entire app, which means in essence, if I can just publish this, this app is ready to be used. All right now, if you want to do is add the aesthetics, the UI, then the design, your branding, all of it. But the app from a holistic standpoint is actually ready to be used. It's that good. So this was the third scenario. So wasn't that awesome? I mean, all those three scenarios just ended with wow. The third one was actually my favorite. Granted, that sample one was actually a picture perfect one, but it does send you the message that if your forms are like that, examples of similar to what we just did, it can do right up to adding the button and adding the on select tasks of each and every one of them, which in essence, your form is fully ready to be used over there. You just got to add all that little flavors of the look and feel. So I personally am really looking forward to this one because bottom line is it is going to save me so much time, and it's letting me take my design work, making me focus more time on the designing piece, and building the form was automatically done by AI. So hopefully this was helpful to you, and as always, keep using Power Apps. Hey everyone, hopefully you found this video useful, and if you did, can you help me help you? Can you subscribe to this YouTube channel? Because remember, I provide fresh content on a weekly basis and it's 100% free. So if you have subscribed, thank you so much and pass the word. But if you haven't, subscribe, click on the bell notification and let the learning begin.